I am James Knight, and this is a good night story about my great great grandfather, Jesse Knight, his mines, and his special mining town, Knightsville. Jesse Knight was the son of Newell Knight and was born in 1845 in Nauvoo, Illinois. As a 1 year old, he and his 8 siblings and his father and mother, Lydia, left Nauvoo and headed west. Due to the winter, they were forced to stop in Niobrara, Nebraska, outside of winter quarters, where his father died. A couple years later, the family traveled to Utah, where Jesse grew up and married Amanda Knight, and they moved to Payson. They owned a dairy ranch, but the nearby Tintic mining region intrigued Jesse, and while grazing their cattle one day, he and his son Jay Will hiked up Godiva Mountain outside of Eureka, and Jesse was inspired that if they handled their wealth righteously, they would be very successful in mining. Jesse was so successful, visionary, and benevolent that he was often referred to as Uncle Jesse. And because he wisely managed all his enterprises, he was able to help many people afford to raise families and stay employed even during the Depression. He was even able to help his church in a time of financial need. I will begin this story in the Eureka Mining Museum, then take you to the place on Godiva Mountain where Jesse and his sons started their mining story, and show you the mines, town, railroad, and smelter that Jesse built, and then end with his office and home in Provo. Hi, I'm James Knight, and this is a nighttime story about Jesse Knight and Eureka in Knightsville and the mining that went on here in Eureka. I'm standing here in the Tintic Mining Museum. It's a great place to come with friends and family on a weekend and see all of the things that they have from 100 years ago, back when the mines were in operation and Knightsville was around. This museum model shows what the mines used to look like above and below the ground, with large wood timber head frame and wood framework to support the mine. This room has many great old photos of the mines and miners, and also shows many of the minerals that were mined in the Tintic region before they were refined in the smelter as silver. These artifacts are from Jesse's Eureka Hill Railroad that served many mines in the area. This room is made to look like an early 1900s store with many interesting items from the period. Here's an example of some of the fancy clothing that women wore during the time when Eureka was a boom town. More typical items found in a nice home from the early 1900s, including an organ, phonograph, and vintage washing machine. This photo in the museum shows Jesse's Eureka Railroad and ore cars. This photo shows Jesse Knight lying down in front of his miners. Note the miner in the bucket. They did hoist miners up and down this way into the mine. Horse-drawn wagons first hauled the ore out of the mines. Here is an old one. The museum has many great examples of old mining equipment. Note the mine cart, the pulley, and the bucket, just like the one seen in the photo. In the background is the original jail behind the Brick City Hall, which is also part of the museum and contains many more interesting exhibits. Now we are going to the east side of Godiva Mountain, where Jesse's first mines and Knightsville are located. The dirt road up to Knightsville and the mines is at the east end of town, and on the south side next to the gas station and a great little cafe called Bee's Hangout. Standing on a part of the mountain where Mayor Castleton of Eureka believes that Jesse Knight might have stopped on a hot day underneath the evergreens, which are the only evergreens on the mountain, and prayed about what he should do. And as you can see behind me is one of the mines that Jesse owned, and other mines and head frames and so forth up on the hill. So this might have been a inspiration spot for Jesse. These are old photos of Jesse's Humbug mine before he built a railroad. Jesse gave it that name because local miners told him he would never get any valuable ore out of it. The second shipment out of the mine was worth $11,000 in 1897, and the mine went on to be a rich producer of silver and lead. This photo of the mine shows a head frame and railroad. Pieces of the head frame and the mine opening are still visible today. The mountain behind me is where the Humbug mine was. The main shaft up higher. Down low here you see a shaft opening that's still there and dangerous, but they have it closed off. You see the head frame laying across and some more of the head frame over there, and a water tank, and you can picture that they used to take minerals up and out of this shaft with the use of the head frame. And then back behind us is Payson, where Jesse lived and where he started thinking about mining up on this mountain. We're just up the road from that first tunnel that we saw, and what you're seeing behind the bushes, or what you could see, is a small mine shaft on a hot day with cold air coming out. And this mine shaft is one of the many tunnel entrances and relief vents of probably the Humbug mine complex, which starts up at the top of the mountain. Here's a mule pulling a mine cart on rails out of a mine. This photo, taken from Knightsville, is another one of Jesse's mines, the Iron Blossom. It paid $2.4 million in dividends from 1906 to 1916 and was one of the many mines that led Jesse to become a millionaire. Here is what Knightsville used to look like in 1906. Jesse. Here we are on a hill overlooking Knightsville. What you see first is the school just before you enter Eureka. Here is a mule pulling a mine cart on rails out of a mine the way they used to do it. This photo, taken from Knightsville, is another one of Jesse's mines, the Iron Blossom. It paid $2.4 million in dividends from 1906 to 1916 and was one of the many mines that led Jesse to become a millionaire. Here is what Knightsville used to look like in 1906. Jesse did not like the drinking and other rough aspects of a mining town such as Eureka, so he built a mining town without a saloon, and the first one to close business on Sundays, but still pay his workers for a full week. Here we are on a hill overlooking Knightsville. What you see first is the school just before you enter Eureka, and you'll turn on a road that comes up towards the south to Knightsville. Behind me on the hills here, you'll see a foundation for the old Knight School building. And the rest of the hillside used to be covered with homes, small homes. Then over here, you see an old mine shaft, I believe in the Centennial Mine. There was a school, stores, church, hotel, and up to 1,000 residents until 1915, when the mines began to run out of ore and people moved out. In 1940, it was a ghost town. The school is seen on the hill to the left. This view is looking across Knightsville. As you can see, the hill and the mines where the workers worked and where we just were a minute ago, panning around to the Knightsville School. And this might have been the pathway from some of the homes that the kids would take to get to the Knightsville School. It's very interesting actually up here, the foundation, and to see what's inside, and encourage you to come up. Here's the Knightsville School that served the youth of the town as well as large gatherings and for church. All that is left now is the concrete foundation and some of the bricks. Now I'm standing in front of the Knightsville School looking across at the mountain where we were before. As you see the front of the school and a big lintel that went over the front door and concrete walls that supported the brick walls, and most of the brick is gone now, been taken away to be used for other buildings down in Payson and other areas close by. Up here you see foundations and things that happen below the floor, and that's the Knightsville School. Part of Jesse's Eureka Hill narrow gauge railroad. This cute little train, pulled by a Shay locomotive, was one of 4 that hauled ore from the mines to the smelters. On the west side of the mountain, closer to the Rio Grande Railroad, Jesse built a large smelter to refine the ore that came out of the mountain before sending it to various cities on the Rio Grande Railroad.
This is a smelter that Jesse built to be closer to his mines before the ore was transported further away. It's at the base of Silver City, and it's very large. And as I said, interacts with the railroad. And Jesse built a railroad to get from his mines to this smelter, and it also served many other mines.
Jesse's Tintic smelter was built next to Silver City and close to the mines to cut costs of transporting raw ore to Salt Lake City. The smelter crushed the ore and then, using very hot furnaces, melted the rock, which allowed the valuable minerals to rise to the top and separate from the slag. The smelter processed mostly silver and lead, but also gold, copper, and zinc. It was in operation from 1908 to 1915 and then dismantled in favor of a newer type of reduction mill, which Jesse and a partner built near Goshen. The Tintic Mining District was home to the world's richest silver-producing mine in 1916, and to date has yielded more than $231 million worth of valuable minerals. This photo shows the office building Jesse built on the intersection of what is now University Avenue and Center Street, across from the Provo City Center Temple. It is called the Knight Block. Go inside to see old offices and an old elevator. Here is Jesse sitting at his desk. The others could very well be his wife Amanda, son Jay Will, and son-in-law Lester Mangum, who worked with him. Jesse and Amanda built this Victorian-style house in 1905, just a couple blocks east of the office building along Center Street. This house is now a mortuary and on the historic register. This is Amanda McEwen Knight, Jesse's wife, partner, and mother to their 6 children. Amanda has many good Knight stories of her own. This house, known as the Knight Mangum Mansion, was built in 1908 for Lester Mangum and his wife, Jenny Knight. It is a great example of the craftsman style and is on the historic register. It was turned into apartments in the 50s and has recently been restored. This house, known as the Knight Allen Mansion, was built in 1899 by Jesse Knight and then given to his daughter Inez Knight and her husband Eugene Allen, a prominent banker. Following their marriage in 1902, while not in good shape currently, it is also on the historic register. This has been a good Knight story.